Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I am Donatello, and this is The Way. We're reading Jesus Calling, a 365 daily devotional written by Sarah Young, talking about peace in Jesus' presence. It is April 9th, and we're jumping in. You are mine for all time. Nothing can separate you from my love. Since I have invested my very life in you, be well assured that I will also take care of you. When your mind goes into neutral and your thoughts flow freely, you tend to feel anxious and alone. Your focus becomes problem solving. To get your mind back into gear, just turn towards me, bringing yourself and your problems into my presence. Many people vanish instantly in the light of my love because you realize you are not alone. Other problems may remain, but they become secondary to knowing me and rejoicing in the relationship I so freely offer you. Each moment you can choose to practice my presence or to practice the presence of problems. This comes from Romans 8:38-39 and Exodus 33:14. You are mine for all time. I love this. I love that they say this. Nothing can separate you from my love. He has invested his very life in you. He gave his life for us. So what makes us think that he's not going to provide everything else in between? He literally gave his only son to die on a cross for us. And we think he can't provide our rent, provide our food, our clothing, can't solve the problem that we're in right now. God has so much authority in our lives. We just need to realize this and bring our problems into his presence, bring our issues into our prayer time, into our communication time. But we need to bring these things in. It's so important to building a strong relationship and to seeing how awesome our God really is and how he shows up in our lives. When your mind goes into neutral and your thoughts flow freely, you tend to feel anxious and alone. When we take our mind off of God, we are opening a door for the world to just flow in. And when the world flows in, it goes like a flood, just pouring down. And when that happens, it seems like it's closing in and there's no one else that's going through the same thing you're going through. And so you feel alone. That feeling of loneliness then fills you with anxiety. But to get your mind back into gear, it's so simple. Just turn towards him. Just like we talked about yesterday, saying his name, bringing him into your problems, allowing him to have authority over your problems and say, I'm not the one in control over this. There's nothing I can really do to fix this problem on my own. I could try, and I can try to move God's hand and try to fix the problem all by myself. I'm going to muddle it up. I could make it better temporarily, but I'm not doing myself any favors planning and plotting and trying to put everything together and backup plans. And what if this doesn't work? Well, then this and that. And it just takes up so much time. And we could be spending this time with God, allowing him to handle the problems, allowing him to take over and take handle of everything that's going on in our lives. It's so difficult to say, Jesus, just please take over. Because then it's admitting that we don't have control. And if we don't have control, that might give us anxiety. And the anxiety can be overwhelming. But God is saying right here, many problems will vanish instantly in the light of my love, because you realize you are truly not alone. Even in this moment, my son will ask me where God is. Where is Jesus now? And I'll tell him he's sitting right next to you. And that's what I'm going to say to you. He's sitting right next to you. He's standing right next to you. He has got his hand on your shoulder. He is protecting you. He is guiding you. He's longing for you to turn to him and say, here's where I'm at. Here is my heart. Here is the good parts of my days and the bad parts of my day. Here are the things I'm concerned about, and here are the things that I'm just so filled with anxiety. Lord, take them away. We make things harder on ourselves by holding it in, thinking God doesn't want to hear about this. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. I don't want to talk about it with anyone. I'm ashamed. I just feel like I can handle it. I got it. But we don't. And we're putting all of this stuff on ourselves that we're not meant to have. This is meant to be given to God. It's meant to be brought to the foot of the cross and allowing Him to handle the situation, to give you either a vision of how to handle it or give you the destination and say, look, this is where you're going to be. It's just going to take a rocky road to get there. But if you hold my hand along the way, you will never feel alone. You will never feel anxious about the rocky road you're on, because you'll know that God has ordained your steps, each step mapped out by Him for where you're going and for your purpose. Problems will vanish. Some problems will stay, but they won't seem as intense as they once did, because you know that the person who's handling it, nothing is impossible for him. He can do literally anything in the world. He died for you. So He can do this for you too. This is nothing compared to Him dying on the cross for you. This is just a little blip in the radar, and He can handle it. It's so huge to us, but to God it's just like, this is so little. If you could just see how tiny this is in the grand scheme of things. But we don't see it like that. We see all the problems and all the concerns and all the things people say about us and the persecution and all of the bad things that come from it. That's what we see. But once we let God have presence in our problems, things start to move around. God changes the pace and things start to change. Whether it's the situation you're in or the perspective in which you're seeing it. Something is about to move, and great things are on the horizon. Do not forget to let God into your problems. He will be the light in the darkness. I love you guys so much. God loves you so much. I'll see you back later.